I'm Nadine Matheson, host of The Conversation, and I know you're keen to get on with the show and watch my conversation with my guest. But before we do, I have one small request. Can you please hit the subscribe button? You might already have done so, but if you haven't, hit the subscribe button now. Takes a second. Less than a second. Right, thank you very much, and let's get on with the show. Justin Myers, welcome to The Conversation.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome. Right, my very first question for you is that I was looking at your backlist, so looking at your novels, but also know that
Mm.
you are a journalist. And I want to know, how prepared were you for being an author, for the author life, even though you've had your journalist career?
Not. I would say it's very different. It's very
Mm,
different. How slow everything is was the main thing, because I mainly write for online. So obviously, as soon as I write something, quick edit, and then it's up,
yeah.
and it's in the public glare. So working on something for such a long time and having to wait years. I mean, it's literally years you can wait from finishing the thing to seeing it out in public and getting a reaction was very strange to me. And I think I'm only just getting used to it now.
Really? And are you like 5 books in?
This is number 5. Yeah.
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 It's such a
It's
it's
agonizing having to wait. It really does. It destroys me.
Yeah, it's such a shock because I've said it before, and I can clearly remember when I was told, and because I was doing a course, and I said I can't remember the author, but an author came in, was giving us this is what publishing is like, and they were like, yeah, take back 2 years to sign once you've signed for your book to be on the shelf, and we're all sitting there going, what are you talking about? 2 years? Why should anything take that long? Even if you are doing edits and stuff, why should it take 2 years to get to the shelf?
I mean, I still don't understand why it takes 2 years. And I sit through the process and I'm just like, this, it's kind of like those meetings that could be an email. This could
Yeah.
be a lot quicker. I can think of so me knows everything. I can think of so many ways we could do this earlier. But no, you're not in control. I think maybe that's
No.
the main difference. There's only a certain amount of control that you have over anything, and
Yeah.
that took a lot of getting used to.
That is actually, I haven't thought about that before, but it is, you have control over your work for this, however long it takes you, whether it's six
Yeah,
months, a year, 2 year, and you are in control of it. When you work in
yeah.
it, how much time you give it, and then you hand it, literally, you hand it over, and then someone
Hmm.
else is deciding what's going to happen to it next, where
Yeah,
it will
that's
go.
it.
Yeah,
That's it. You're just kind of you do really just have to trust them and give it over to them and hope for the best. It's
mm,
There's very little, obviously, other than promotion and that kind of thing. Very little you can actually do to change anything.
yeah. Just have to sit back and wait, and when the book is now out there, and then you're then getting the reader's response.
Mm.
How different is that to being, just you said working for papers, doing your columns, doing whatever? Because it's a different. It can't not be different.
Yeah, the weird thing about it is that with writing, for an online audience, an instant audience, if you like,
Mm,
um, it's not weird to go into the comments and see what people are saying. Whereas suddenly, when you're an author, everyone tells you shouldn't be in there. That's none of your
yeah,
business, and it's kind of, oh, why? Because I'm kind of interested in what people think. You write this thing, you wait 2 years for it to come out and be on a shelf, and then you're supposed to just forget it happened, and
yeah,
never find out what anyone thinks. I don't. That doesn't seem realistic to me. So even though everybody warned me, about not looking at the reviews. I mean, I did immediately as soon as it was on NetGalley. I was like, because I really wanted to know what people thought. How can you not? How can you not want to know? But
What's
I'm better now at not doing it, at not doing it like before publication, or I'll only read good ones.
I do that. I say to people, like, I don't think it's a good idea to go through everything. Because I know some writers who will they'll purposely seek out the 1 and 2 star reviews.
Oh
Yeah, I
no.
know. And I'm like, I don't see why I need to put myself through that kind of self-flagellation. I'm like, no. It's like, why
It's
would
not.
you?
It's yeah, because why worry about what people hate about your books
Yeah.
when you could be focusing on what people love about them? And it took me a couple of books to learn that lesson, but I did learn it because the thing is as well is that you remember the 1 and 2 star reviews forever. I
Mm,
can still quote word for word some of them, or some of the things that people say, and sometimes when you read a criticism of your work, you're like, yeah, I can see why they approached that in that way. I can see why that annoyed them, or maybe even deep down it's something that you yourself knew wasn't quite right, and that's really horrifying when you've been found out.
yeah.
But on the whole, it's just not useful for you unless you're going to change your entire style, uh,
Mm.
to fit these negative comments. It's not worth it, really.
Well, some authors I've known who have looked at it, they said, "Oh, they wanna learn from it." And I'm like, "But I don't know if that's the right place to learn about your writing." I feel that's what your editor's there for, and, like, your
Yeah,
writing
because
peers.
absolutely, because you don't know what the kind of mood the reader is in when they're reading your work. There could be
No,
so many outside, influences that make them leave this bad review. They could be having a bad day. They could have problems at home. They could have just not been in the mood for the book. We read as well. We've, I'm sure, picked up many books and just thought,
this isn't for me today."
I'm not vibing with this at all, and then we'll go back to it and really love it. That
Yeah.
does happen to me quite often. So I don't take it personally unless they say something really personal,
Well, the
which
only
does happen. Yeah,
I
but
don't know if it's because of social media, this online world we live in, this digital world we live in, that people feel there's no veil between us and them. So they feel
yeah,
like they can comment not only on the work you've produced, but also on you personally.
yeah. I mean, I have, written stuff on and off for the Guardian for quite a while, so I am used to people saying horrendous things about me on the same page, below. I did a,
Yeah,
I did a piece once about makeup for men.
yeah.
So a photographer came round to my house and photographed me like putting makeup. I'd never done it before, just to be clear. Um, I putting makeup on, and I wrote a long thing about whether it would take off, whatever. Some of the comments underneath about my appearance were, I would never say anything online that I wouldn't want my dead grandmothers to read, and I don't think my dead grandmothers would have been very pleased with what these people were saying about me. He's clearly very old because of the lines. I mean, I never lied about my age, but yeah, things like
They were
that.
saying that.
Yeah, I mean, I didn't say I was young in the piece, so I don't know why they were like focusing on that. It was so weird.
It's like the
Yeah,
assumption because you're wearing makeup, you must be trying to cover up
trying to
your
hide
age and
something.
yeah, trying to hide something.
Yeah, but so I grew quite a thick skin about negative comments, but
Mm.
for some reason with a book, it hurts a bit more. I don't know why. Why
I've
is
always
it?
said
Because it takes you so long, maybe. I don't know.
I think it takes you long, but you put whether you regardless of whatever subject you're writing about, you put so much of yourself into that book, and it is personal in a sense. So when someone's attacking for critique, I'll say critiquing the work, you can't help but take it personally. Like I always say, when I was practicing law, if the jury returns a verdict of not guilty, I'm so guilty. I don't take it personally. I'm like,
No.
well, the prosecution they did a good job. The evidence was strong. I might have known it
Yeah.
was going to happen. If the judge refused my application, it's not about me. It's just
Yeah.
about the case and someone else. Whereas my book, the stuff I've been working on, that is me.
There's something about adding a rating to something that burns more. I don't know why. I mean,
Yeah.
the famous 3 star reviews.
Do they bother
You
you?
know, well, no, they don't. But the scale is so strange. A 3 star, someone can say that this is the best book they have ever read, and that they can't
That's
wait to
true.
read more by me, and then it's 3 stars, and you're like, what happened? Did you drop a couple on the between your hand and the keyboard? And then you'll get a 3 star review where someone is just saying, I would rather be dead than read anything by this author again. And you're like, but 3 stars is it's 6 out of 10. So it's very strange. So that's why I try not to take it too personally. And because if you believe the bad reviews, if you read the bad reviews and tell yourself that you don't have to take any notice of them, then you also have to tell yourself that you don't have to take any notice of the good reviews. I'd rather take
Yeah.
notice of the good reviews than the bad.
I went through a phase of just telling myself all the whole review thing on Goodreads it was all a conspiracy because I remember with my with my 3rd book, I always love a fun conspiracy, not like
Yeah, not
yeah,
like,
I like a
you
fun
know,
one. But
yeah.
my 3rd book was it the 3rd? I think the 3rd book had come it wasn't out yet, so all they'd done was just, they just put it up there. It's gonna
All
be
right,
out
yeah.
whatever date. No, the only people who'd read I think I was still doing edits on it when they put up on Goodreads. So the only people who'd read it was my agent, my editor, my US editor, and my UK editor, and I think
Mm,
the assistant editor. That was it. Maybe like 4
yeah.
people. However, someone out there had gone out there and put 1 star. And I was like,
Yeah.
"You
How
haven't
do
it's not
they?
even available to anybody. I'm still working on it."
They just know it's going to be terrible.
They just know. And
They
then the
just know.
funny
They can tell from the
yeah,
synopsis.
and then they wrote, "Boring." I'm like,
Ooh,
you haven't even read it."
ooh, that's personal.
That was it felt personal.
That's
And
a
I was like,
hater.
"Yeah, no one's read it. 4 people have read it. I'm still editing it. You know nothing about it, but yet you've already decided to give it 1 star and call it boring, so I might
Unless
as
your
well give it a
editor's
star."
like gone online and thinking this will light a fire under to get those edits in quicker.
We need to motivate the dean.
Yeah, come on. It's just a strange arena to find yourself in. So the best thing to do is not go in unless
Yeah,
you are tough enough, I suppose, or just read the good ones. Or there's the old trick of going and reading 1 and 2 stars of your favorite books and realizing that people hate things that you think are amazing, and
I've
it's
done
always
that.
going to be like that. Yeah,
I've
like my
done
favorite
that.
book is Rebecca.
Mm.
Uh, there's lots of that frustrates me with that book, but it's a brilliant book, and I've gone on and seen some people who they must have been reading it upside down. It's all I can glean from their reviews. I don't understand how you could leave like a 1 star. I mean, some of them were like, "Oh, arrived and the package was open." You're like, "Oh,
Oh, I
please
forgot
don't do that."
it was creased. You're like, "What I blame the Amazon delivery man. It's not my fault."
Do you know what this does to me?
It's
But
the
yeah.
ones when they say I know we've gone off my
Oh,
whole thing about reviews. It's the one where they say they give it 3 I'm saying 4 3 stars, and then they'll say,
hmm.
but really, it was 2.85." And I'm like, "Where are
Oh
you
yeah.
getting the point 8 what is that all about?"
Do they sit there with a sheet of calculations? Excel must be involved.
I hate
That's
Excel.
all I can gather. Dreaded
Just
Excel.
Justin, I was gonna ask you, you mentioned about having, developing a thick skin. You know when you're training to be a journalist, is there any point where they teach you how to, like, insulate yourself and protect yourself from what's happening outside? Because they don't teach us that in law school at all. We're just I mean,
No,
I say the same
well,
thing. Mm.
this is probably, I don't know if I've ever said this before, but I am not a trained journalist.
Oh, aren't you? Oh.
So the haters are going to be loving that.
Wants to
No,
shut
so
this
I'm
interview
not.
down.
No,
Wow.
they no. I am not trained. I learn on the job. How I got myself into. I'd always written,
Yeah.
always all my life, but I got myself into writing by answering an advert, looking for columnists at the dawn of the internet, at the turn of the century, which feels amazing to be able to say that.
Like that? Oh god.
I answered an advert and got it, and started writing for an audience then, and that led to work. You know, and it's led to everything really. So I'm not actually trained. So where I learned to get my thick skin was being bullied every day at school.
God.
No one can say anything to me on Goodreads or Amazon that is anything worse than A, what I say to myself in my head while I'm writing,
Mm.
and B, just like the monsters that I went to school with. So no, I didn't learn it at journalism school. I learned it at the University of Life.
Life.
Imagine that. I hate it when
What did
people say that, but it's
what
true.
did you wanna do? Even though you said you were writing all your life and this opportunity landed, I'm not saying landed in your lap, but it landed
Well, it
in front of
landed.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah. What did you want where did you see your career going prior to that?
My thing was languages. I did languages at university.
Right.
So I wanted to go and live in France and do something really French. Probably work in a, I didn't have any. This is the problem. I couldn't see what the future was like. I was the first person
Mm,
in my family to go to university, so I didn't have any. Um, there
guidance.
was, yeah, there was
Yeah.
no my parents were supportive, but didn't really know. They kind of stumbled into their jobs as well over just by chance. So there was never a clear path for me. So I was a bit lost actually. I was working. I was a temp when I answered that advert. I was working for a share trading company in their customer applications department. I was doing like a just a job,
Yeah.
and I was probably going to do that until something else turned up. And then it was actually that column and realizing that I was good at writing and not just for myself, that led to me moving to London and trying to make a career out of it. But up until then, I was just drifting and I wasn't using my languages at all, ever, which was really annoying. So yeah, I didn't have a plan. I kind of, when I was a kid, I used to say either an author or a teacher.
Yeah.
But authors, I'm from a working class background, and nobody became an author. You know,
This is this is what I always say is that unless you have people, I say writers, authors around you, you don't have a clue if you are. I'm saying if you are from working class backgrounds. I wouldn't even. I've always said I didn't even know being a writer was an option, if that makes sense.
no,
I love books. I loved. Everyone
yeah,
knew I loved reading. You'll always find me in a book, but no one ever took the two of you love books, you write really well. You ever thought about being a writer? That option was never
yeah.
presented to me, and I didn't know anyone. I don't think I met my first writer until I'm not even sure. Mid
This is what
mid
people don't
20s?
understand. Yeah, absolutely. This
Yeah.
is what people don't understand about uh, coming from that background. Is you don't. It's the you don't know anything. You don't have
Mm.
connections. You don't know how to
Yeah, that's the
maximize them.
word.
At school, they don't teach you how to do that. Like
No.
I wrote, I worked on a book with a famous person who went to good schools. A very posh person went to good schools, and he said they train you how to talk to people. They throw you in rooms from a young age and make you debate people and tell people about yourself and sell yourself. That's taught. That's why everyone in power went to a good school or went to Oxbridge or whatever. Whereas I still feel now like I don't know anything and I don't know anyone and I feel like I'm playing catch up, even though
Yeah.
I'm nearly 50 and I just feel like I'm still on the back foot. Um, so it really, I think people who are not from that background just don't understand how little access you have to lives that are like that. I remember one of my favorite writers when I was growing up was Sue Townsend, and I know that
Mm.
she was from a working class background. And even like reading her books and listening to her, I still couldn't work out how she'd done it. What do you mean you joined a writers group? What is
You
that?
didn't know
Where
how to
are
put
they?
Yeah, you couldn't join the dots.
Yeah, do you have to pay? If so, that's just not going to happen. I went to the library and got books out and that kind of thing and wrote for myself, but I just didn't know it was a possible. I didn't know it was possible
Mm.
at all.
It's it's weird, isn't it? You say, nearly being 15, I'm 48, and it's weird to be at that age and still thinking that one, you're still playing catch up, and you're still there's stuff you're missing out on that you're still not quite getting, regardless of how
Yeah.
experienced you may be in whatever other your careers are. But in
Mm.
this particular part of our life, in this particular chapter, being a writer, being in this industry, it's still. I'm like, why am I still learning?
Yeah, I still feel really green
Yeah.
in some respects. I still feel like I don't know enough people, or I mean, I go into marketing meetings and my team is always like, "Oh, you're so well connected, so this will be great." And this will be great. And I'm like, I don't know anyone. I don't. I'm not on red carpets or anything like that. I
Yeah.
suppose that to me, coming from someone who from coming from very little, that to me means everyone if you are invited to things or whatever. But I actually don't mind not being invited to things now. But so yeah, I just couldn't imagine it at all. I still feel a little bit like I'm on the back foot, which is weird,
It is
really.
it's very weird because even though you're
I don't
talking
think you
about
ever lose it.
no, because even though when I think about when I was practicing as a lawyer, and I think officially next April will be 20 years since I qualified.
Wow.
But prior to that, it's God, 22, 23 years being in criminal law. But my brain can't equate that number with how I feel. Like there are days and I still feel
No.
like I don't feel like I have 20 or plus years worth of experience, but I do. But
Yeah.
I don't. Yeah, it's strange when you start talking about
Yeah.
it. You're like, it doesn't really make sense that you would feel that way.
I mean, I've been writing as a job for 20 years, full time. I've had staff jobs
Mm.
and then I've been freelance for about 15, 16 years, for 20 years writing. And I still feel like I've just I still feel like I'm wading through sticky amniotic fluid and just staggering to my feet like a newborn lamb. I still feel like I don't know anything,
My polite
which is
teacher says
weird.
you're walking through molasses. That's what you
It's just
yeah,
like,
you're walking
what
through
is this?
molasses. But it's
Yeah.
interesting what you say. You're saying that like you're not taught to debate. So like but if you go
No.
to these other schools, you are taught to debate and taught you said throw
Hmm.
yourself in the room and engage with people. And I didn't do my first it wasn't even called debate, it was moose, but until I was in law school. So I would have been 22. No, not 20,
Right.
maybe 23, 24, maybe. And
Yeah.
that's when I first learned to debate. And really, all of that should have been done. You should have been taught like all in your formative years, maybe, but
Yeah.
you're not.
No, and I had to kind of teach myself how to back myself, if you know what I mean. So I
Mm,
was quite good at talking my way out of difficult situations. So my antidote to uh, getting 7 bells kicked out of me at school was to try and joke my way out of things. So I used to make people laugh.
yeah,
I used to use my weaknesses, so being like effeminate at school or being weak as jokes, and kind of would I developed a very uh, acerbic sense of humor, probably because I was so bitter. I developed that, and really, as much as I wish I could have floated through school like the popular boys, I'm quite glad that in a way that I had that, because it was definitely formed who I am as a person,
mm,
and definitely is the undercurrent to all my writing I've ever done. I
yeah,
think is coming from a past that most people would try very quickly to forget.
yeah. I don't regret anything, and I don't regret
No.
the family I was born into, the schools I went to, the streets I ran around in, because
Yeah.
it all shaped me. Same thing, it all shaped you. And I suppose in a way,
Yeah.
just listening to it, it's like in a way I can see how it is in my writing and the characters I create. It's all like they know their place in the world and they know how they fit. And I suppose they're a bit more street savvy in a
I
sense.
think, yeah, you have to. I mean, I don't know. I'm glad that I have had this experience,
Mm,
or all the experiences I've had, because I can have them in the back of my mind when I'm writing. I don't write about. I don't think I've ever really written deeply about people who come from exactly the same situation as
yeah,
I have, but it does inform my writing about them. So I don't feel uncomfortable writing about a person who comes from a council estate, for example.
yeah.
Whereas when I read other people's books who have probably never even driven an Uber through one, I can tell. I can tell. The tropes that come up about living in social housing
It's
and
like they've
that kind
gone
of
for a
things.
checklist, hasn't it?
Yeah, it's
Mm,
like, oh, come on, there's not like burnt out cars and upside down nicked trolleys, you know. Yeah, you can just tell. It's just inauthentic. And so even though I don't use my own past a lot in my fiction yet, um, I do feel it's useful to have, as a kind of a bull detector in everything
yeah.
I write. Yeah.
I was just thinking the closest I came to a burnt out car on the estate, it wasn't even burnt out. It was a Friday night, and I'd come home from I've been home for a while, and all of a sudden I could hear banging, bang, 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 bang. And all the neighbour, everyone, 'cause everyone comes out, everyone came out, and there was a little car park, and my car was parked to this brand new car, and it had been
Oh,
someone had smashed it to bits. Tires were
oh,
slashed, windscreen was slashed, just destroyed it. And I'm looking at my car like my neighbour said, "It's all right, Nadine. They definitely weren't after you. Your car's your car's fine." And it was true. My car was fine. The car on the other side of it was fine. But that was like the closest I've ever come to like the cliche burnt out car, shopping
I
trolleys. It
yeah, I
probably
don't remember any burnt out cars on my street. My mum still lives in the house I grew up in,
yeah.
and there's still no burnt out cars. Nothing. Yeah,
I
thankfully.
think but it's funny, you look on the other side of it. I think that when you do come from maybe like a working class background and then you do go into university, and I've seen it where when
Mm,
I've been teaching the baby lawyers and they've come from like certain areas, like they come from like East London, deep in East London, and then they've gone to university, and it's a
yeah,
shock to them because then they are then exposed to so many different groups of people, and if you're talking about class, those up on the scale, and that can be a bit of a definitely like a shock to the system being exposed to that for the
100%.
first time, yeah, and then how to
Yeah,
navigate yourself within those circles.
I will be honest. I kind of hid my background at university at
You
first.
did?
I got rid of my accent in the car on the way down.
Where are you from
'Cause
originally?
I'm from Yorkshire. I'm from just outside Bradford.
Oh, so you hid it.
Yeah, so I just got rid of it, and tried to fit in, and it's impossible. You know, it's impossible. But I did try to kind of. I didn't. I didn't like pretend to be anything else, but I just didn't
Yeah.
really, talk about the realities of it or anything like that. But it just becomes obvious really quickly because all of a sudden you've got no money, and some people do, and you realise that the reason they've got money is because they're from money.
Mm.
And then you go and visit them in the summer at their parental homes, and you're like, "Oh,
Oh,
this is
this is what it means.
it really, wow." Just and what always used to fascinate me about people who were from like big houses. I did have a couple of friends at school actually who were from big houses, uh, but what fascinated me was how normal it was. It
Yeah.
wasn't like nobody was walking around going, "Oh, and it's amazing that we've got this, and how lucky we are to have this." Like people who haven't had money and then get money do. It was just normal, like these huge kitchens, and do you want anything? And I'd be like, "Am I allowed to touch anything? Uh, should I have my shoes off?" It was all
Yeah.
very freaky to me that people live like that normally. It was I can't even really explain it, but I just
No,
remember
I
that
understand
feeling
it though.
so vividly. Opening a fridge and there being loads of stuff in it, but stuff like pantry stuff, jars of stuff, olives, and
My
I just like didn't eat an olive until I was about 25.
like
I really didn't.
my idea of like rich, and it sounds really silly to say, it's if someone had like fresh orange juice in the fridge
Yes,
because we would have orange squash. You get the
yes,
Robinsons or the Tesco version, which you have to add your water to.
yes.
So my idea, it sounds really silly. My idea was rich was fresh orange juice in the fridge and a kitchen island because I didn't know
Oh, I
anyone
mean, the
who had
island is
room.
like that's like elite. The island, that is elite. The island, but yeah, I remember going to a friend's house and I was still at school actually, and she said something like, "Oh, it's in the breakfast room," and I was like, "Huh?
Huh?
You have a room for eating breakfast in? Stop it!" I mean, it was just a back room. It was a back lounge, but in fact, no, it wasn't because they had another one. But yeah, it was the room between the kitchen and the hallway, and my mind was blown.
Blown.
A breakfast room. What?
No,
I was, why don't we have one?
we had the kitchen and the dining. Well, it was dining room, living room all together.
Oh, I mean, no dining room. So you one up on me there. We didn't have a dining
Yeah.
room. It was lounge, kitchen, two bedrooms, toilet, bathroom. That's your lot. Thank you very much.
No, I mean the dining. I call it the dining room, but dining living room together. So the dining table's in the
Oh, like you
living
had it
room.
all in.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, so
we just
yeah.
we ate in the kitchen. Yeah, mad.
It's when you look back at it, when you're talking about it, like it shouldn't sound crazy, but you're looking back, you're like, it is where you're, how you view life and where you come from. And there is such a big gap. And I don't think people necessarily acknowledge that or
No, they
realize
don't.
the impact of that.
No, and even now, when the gap between rich and poor people is getting wider and wider,
Mm,
no one really understands it. And I just thought that it was normal to live in. I mean, my house is nice. My mum's house is nice. You
yeah,
know, it's small, but it's nice and whatever. But I just didn't realize that posh people lived among us. I thought that posh people were just like behind gates and, you know,
yeah,
riding around with chauffeurs. I didn't realize that there was a living posh, as I call them,
yeah.
who just lives in a big house and does normal things.
But I
Weird.
suppose that's how, well, when I think of London, that's how London is. Like the two sides do live
Mm,
side by side. You can have the
yeah.
council estate on one side of the road and literally then have, I hate the term private house, but the privately owned houses
Yeah.
opposite, all within that same ecosystem.
Yeah, because my high school was uh, built on spare land in a very posh area of the town
Mm,
I'm from. Like Coronation Street stars lived there and stuff, and it was all huge houses, and it just never computed to me that that would be something that would be available to a normal person
yeah,
as long as they were rich.
alongside. And the thing is as well, I think the only route you can see to getting to having that kind of richness is, in my head, is lottery. You need a lottery win. Like,
Lottery
even
win,
like a job,
still,
you still need a lottery win
still.
because 'cause you're like, "Yeah, I can have a job, but what job am I gonna get that's gonna give me that level of it?"
Realistically,
Yeah,
exactly.
realistically.
I couldn't see it. I just couldn't see it at all. I was really, yeah, I was quite lost after graduation because I didn't want to work. I just didn't know what I was going to do.
Mm,
Yeah, it was, and there was all like, you know, sexuality things happening that were bubbling in my head as well. I'm like, oh, am I gay? Weird. Should deal with that maybe. So that was happening at the same time. Brilliant.
God,
So I was directionless in my career and, gay and trying to say the words out loud. Fantastic.
it's a lot in there. You just need a holiday.
1999 was a big one. Oh, yeah.
Oh god. So, Justin, when did you realise that you were a storyteller, though? So I always say you can be a good writer. People could tell you write
Mm.
well, and you write well, but when did you know that you could tell a good story?
Acknowledging it is different from knowing, I suppose.
Mm.
I used to write scripts for my Lego. So there you go. I used that. So then I used to write scripts. I was very influenced by soap operas. My mum watched Coronation Street and EastEnders, and I was very excited by them. I found them fascinating and how they could, quickly weave a plot in and all the stuff
Yeah.
that gets thrown at a character. So from an early age, I was very influenced by that. So I used to write scripts for my Lego, and then my cousin and I used to act out. I saw last week we're talking about this. We used to act out. We used to record it on her stereo recorder thing, soaps with her soft toys at her house. I mean, I was really quite old when I was doing that. I don't really want to admit how old I was when I was doing that, but so it's always been there, that
Yeah.
drive to create and tell a story. When I realized I was good at it was probably as late as the second book.
Really? The second one?
Yeah, I think
Even
so.
when you've got, because to get the agent and get the deal for the first one, someone at some point is gonna say, "This is good, we want you." And that didn't feel like validation
I
at
mean,
that
I
point.
signed my first deal unagented.
Oh.
I
Did you
didn't.
know
I
what you were
didn't.
doing? Not in an
I've got
offensive
a
way, but did
really
you know?
no. I've got a really weird uh, entry into publishing that makes people mad sometimes when I tell them it. So I had a blog. I was
Yeah.
a journalist, but I also had a blog under an anonymous secret persona that I wrote, and it became quite popular.
Mm.
And so I was approached by a publisher, by an editor, who said, "Have you ever thought I love your work, have you ever thought of writing a novel? And I was like, have I? Of course I have. And I had, for years and years. But again, just never thought that was available to me.
Yeah.
I would have had no idea how to go on submission, talk to an agent. I just wouldn't, had no idea. So I'd never done anything about it. So he said, write maybe a 2-page summary of the book you think you could write, and I'll take a look and let you know whether it's a goer or not. So I decided to do something kind of semi-autobiographical, because your first novel, usually is, unless you're writing like a murder mystery, which hopefully
Yeah.
it isn't semi-autobiographical.
No, it's not.
So it was about a guy who went on dates and blogged about them anonymously and whatever. So, but I've introduced lots of fiction elements, I hasten to add, and sent them that, and he loved it. And he said, "Can you write me 2 chapters, one for the first chapter, and then one from like the middle of the book or something?" And I thought, I mean, it sounds like this happened all very quickly. There was 3 months of like hysterical worrying
Yeah. I'm not
on my
surprised
part
though.
between submitting. I thought this feels like something, like a really big chance, and I really don't want to mess it up. So
Mm.
I was convinced I was going to mess it up and do the wrong thing. So I finally, to be very honest, I just knocked that first chapter out. And then I wrote another scene from later in the book and sent them to him. And he took it to sales, and I got a book deal. The rest is history.
I, I don't normally get like stunned and kind of lost for words.
I
But
know it's
he
very rare.
No,
I know it's very
it's
rare.
very rare, and but I do think it's good for listeners to hear different routes into publishing, because
It
not
can
everyone's
happen.
journeys, not everyone's journey is the same, and it can happen in so many different ways. But he just took those chapters to acquisitions, and they basically went, yeah.
Acquisitions, that's it. Yeah, and yeah, he did, and I got the book deal.
How did you feel at
Insane.
that point? Were you like, what the? Well, yeah, like what, why, how, what next?
Yes, it was. It was. I suppose some people might feel validated by that, but I was like, oh, they've made a terrible mistake. I've obviously I've done something right now that I'm going to do wrong later.
Yeah, yeah.
I had no idea how to write a book. I'd tried to write one before, very different from what I'd pitched to them. I'd pitched like a comedy to them because my writing was mainly comic, but I didn't have any idea. So I was very happy, but very worried that I was still gonna mess all this up.
And this is the thing as well, when we go back to talking about our backgrounds and where you came from, you haven't had there's nothing there to guide you,
No,
because you
I
don't
had
know any, I'm saying you don't know anyone who's
no.
gone through that process. So you are literally you are learning on the job and as you go.
Yeah, I did have one friend who had written some books,
Mm,
and kind of learn a bit of the reality of it from her, and that the advances aren't that huge and
yeah.
there's blah blah blah. But no, there was nothing about the process. I had to have it all explained to me, and sometimes they don't explain everything, so you're just kind of wandering through the darkness, through those good old molasses again.
Molasses.
So yeah, it was a very strange experience, but I did it, and
Yeah.
then I got an agent.
And did you feel, once you got the agent, did you feel like, I don't know if this is the right word, but a bit safer, secure, because you've got someone in your corner who's now the buffer between you and the publishers?
Yes, because I'd been really anxious signing the
Mm,
contract. I have had a friend who was an entertainment lawyer, and she looked over it for me, and she said, "You realise this, the don't you know thing that was very bad in the contract?" I was like, "Yeah, but I'm frightened that if I don't just sign it and accept everything, they'll decide they don't want me after all." Which
the
is
lawyer in
such
me
a
makes it. My
why didn't I
shoulders
know
were
you
up by my
then?
head. I know.
Yeah, I know. She warned me, and it
Yeah.
wasn't a terrible contract by any means, but I didn't push back on anything.
But again,
Uh,
I
I
think
didn't know
that's the
you
thing.
could.
Well, this is the thing, you don't know you could, and if you're not brought up around those circles as well, you're kind of like, there's this feeling of like gratitude. I need to be grateful, and this could be taken away from me
Yes.
at any minute. So let me just sign it and take it and then we'll
Yeah.
deal with whatever comes next.
Which is what I did, and I trusted my editor. He was a lovely guy, and I trusted him. And so it wasn't like the most horrendous contract you've ever seen,
Yeah.
but there were just things that, yeah, I did feel safer. Again, I was approached. I didn't look for an agent. Oh, God. So, and I was approached. I did feel safer because she immediately, tried to claw back some of the things that I shouldn't have handed over in the first contract. So, because I signed with her before the first book came out,
Yeah.
so she guided me through that process. I think I would have been lost. Yeah,
I
then.
I think what I do like about this time in the world, I don't know how to say it, but this time in the world in 2025 is that whatever you're new at, whatever you're trying to get into, whether it's writing, music, I don't know, computer gaming, that
Mm.
you could go online and you could find not you could find a podcast. You could find the information
Yeah,
there's some kind of guidance. If you don't have the people around you, it's a lot easier, I think, now to seek out the information and also hear people's experiences, which is probably the big gap that was missing before.
absolutely. It's completely demystified
Mm,
and democratized, even. I mean, to a degree. The whole process, but I think that's great. I sometimes wonder, but try not to think about it too much, how different things would have been had I, you know, started later or had
yeah,
more backup or whatever. But it's all turned out the way it's turned out
yeah.
because that's how it had to turn out.
There's nothing lost from anything that you've learned,
No, I
it
don't feel like I've lost out.
no,
No,
not at all.
no.
Justin, should we talk about your new book? Because how does it feel to book once when you think about your journey and now with book 5 on the shelf? Because I'm looking at your shelf
Yes,
on the
like
shelf.
I'm a proper writer now.
Proper writer
Number
now.
5. That's it. That's it. I am an author. Yes. Well, I like all my books, but I'm in love with this one.
Mm,
I had the idea for this book 20 years ago, before I was even a writer professionally.
really?
Yeah, and it was like an idea that became this book, and I had just no idea again how to make it happen. Blah blah blah. So it kind of cooked for a long time. So The
Yeah.
Glorious Dead is about a celebrated playwright called Laurie who dies at the beginning of the book. First time I've ever killed a character. Dies at the beginning of the book, and it's about how his husband Joe and his best friend Viv kind of deal with their grief.
Mm,
Uh, However, and they deal with grief very differently. Joe is trying to look upon Laurie's death as an opportunity to, um, kind of enrich his life. He's going to live on as a tribute to his dead husband. Make the best of his life. Whereas Viv just wallows for a very long time and can't really get over it. He was her best friend. He was her everything, and she's kind of really struggling to
yeah.
come to terms with her grief. However, there are rumors that Laurie was working on a memoir before he died, and quite a few people are quite worried about what might be in it. And we get to read it. Yay! And yeah, it's full of kind of twists, loads of twists, which was I've done twists before, but not like this many, like handbrake turns before. It's 3 different voices, and some of it's set in the past, some of it's set in that. It was
Yeah.
like, oh, I threw everything at this one. I was frightened to write it. It was nearly my second book and nearly my third, and I was too frightened to write it. I
Really?
was
You
too
kept
frightened of
pushing
it.
it back?
Yeah, I
Why did
just
it
didn't feel ready.
yeah. What made you ready at this point? What got you in that
Well,
space?
I had just finished writing my 4th book, Leading Man, and it was off with my editor. And I thought I didn't have any work coming in. And I just thought, if you don't write this book now, maybe you're never going to write it. And you should just do it. And,
Mm,
you can't edit a blank page, as people often say.
yeah.
And so I just wrote it. I planned it all out. And then again, for the 3rd time. And then I just wrote it and had a great time writing it. I
Did it
was like,
surprise you
okay,
you had fun with it?
yes, it did, because when I tried to write it before, I was just too worried about doing. When the trouble with an idea cooking in your head for so long is that there are so many versions of it that exist that,
Yeah.
like, chiseling one into the stone it frightened me, because what if it's the wrong version? Blah blah blah. So, but I just realized it was the right version. I had so much fun writing it, because it's, even though it's a change in direction, it's darker than my
Mm.
previous four books. It still does have a current of humor running through it. You know, Laurie's memoirs are, scathing, to say the least. And it just felt very liberating to get these characters down with no worries about whether it was going to get published. I was out of a deal, you see, so I just didn't think about anything like that for maybe
Yeah.
the first time since, writing my second. I didn't think of anything like that. So it's great.
I
Yeah, I love it.
I normally ask, well, I do ask 2 questions that follow on when the authors, when I haven't forced anyone to do their elevator pitch, but I've invited them to tell the listeners about their book. But did you face any challenges in writing your book?
In the writing, do you know what was really annoying is I was halfway through it and then I got COVID for the first time ever in my
Oh,
life, and I
did
was really,
you?
really ill. It was
Oh,
so annoying because I was like, oh, and then I
you
had to
made
take a
it through
month
the
off.
pandemic and then
Yes. And I was so gutted. I had to take a month off writing it, and I was so gutted because I was just really in the
the
head of
zone.
it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The hum.
Um,
Shonda Rhimes calls it the
yes.
hum. I like that. Using the
Ah,
hum of it.
yeah. Yes,
Mm,
absolutely. That kind of vibe.
yeah.
And I was worried about going back to it. Other challenges were worrying. All the challenges came from my self doubt. So worrying whether I could go as far with some of the things as I was going.
Hmm.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Could
Okay.
I push it? Could this character be that horrible? Could he say these terrible things? It covers some quite dark themes. Even in the chapters that are humorous, there's a very dark undertone to them. There's, you know, the exploitation of people in the entertainment industry, and um, grief is quite a dark, it's a dark one.
Yeah.
Grief.
Yeah.
So I was just worried if I could. I had to get over myself, really. And so that was a challenge, getting over myself and just really pushing it and thinking, screw it. It doesn't matter. Just the editor, if an editor ever gets to see it, they can unpick all the things they think are
Yeah.
unpalatable. Um, so it doesn't matter. Just do it.
A lot of it's so true because there's been so many times when, well, I write police procedurals. It's crime fiction
Mm.
and it's dark, and there are times when I'm thinking, oh, is it too much? And then I think it's
Yeah.
yeah, and then there's times when I don't even think about it. I always say the lawyer part of my brain kicks in and I detach myself from it. But there are points I had to say to myself, you know what? If they want more darkness, my editor will tell me push it further.
Yeah.
It's like
So you
that's
think you're not
her
dark enough?
job. Yeah, yeah, I think I'm not dark enough.
Oh, right. Okay.
I think I'm.
Yeah, I
I
suppose
think
that is a thing that happens.
yeah, I hold back. I know I hold back, and then my so I get a note from my editor like, you can go further," and I'm like, "Oh, really? Okay." So I do.
Brilliant. Yeah, I suppose it was like that when I was writing the comedies. Is it funny enough? That was always a thing.
Which
And that
one?
was actually the main difference between writing a straight up comedy, although my
Yeah,
comedies always had a bit of darkness to them, a bit of an edge to them, was, if you don't think a page is funny enough, you throw a joke in.
yeah.
But I couldn't just throw jokes into this new book. It would have been, out of
Con
theme to just have
yeah.
someone slip on a banana skin halfway through the chapter when they're dealing with their grief. So I had to really be more smart about, it not working. Editing it was quite difficult because I didn't have as many jokes to laugh at. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, that's a very good joke usually, but then I was like,
Can you
dark.
see, I never think I know I can make people laugh, but I don't think I'm funny. I just don't. I don't think I can tell a joke.
Mm.
But I know if I'm doing panels and stuff that the audience not they don't laugh at me, but they do laugh with me. Do you know, it sounds strange, do you know when you're writing something funny? Is it instinctual? Or do you have to work at it?
I don't think I'm a funny person either at all.
Mm.
Other people do. I suppose it's good because I don't need to find myself funny.
Yeah, no.
Um, but yeah, yeah, it can be. Yeah, I suppose it depends what your kind of humor is. You know, my
Yeah,
humor is not like gags. It's something someone will just like say, or a description. I'm good at my descriptions, so it can be. I mean, one of my favorite notes I've ever had from an editor was during my leading man was when my editor went, "You could be funnier here." I'm like, "Oh, okay," but
okay.
I know I can. Okay, yes, you're
Yeah,
right. I can. Sometimes you need to be told that, a bit like your editor saying, you
yeah,
know, you can go darker. So yeah, it's about does this feel too similar to other parts in the book where I'm being funny? I don't. I, it just happens, to be honest.
yeah,
I'm not even going to pretend that there's an alchemy or anything like that. It just happens where the situation will call for certain lines and they'll either work or they won't work. And if they don't work, the editor says, "You could be funnier here,"
yeah. So
and you
where
remember it forever.
yeah, I feel like I was being a bit unfair. Like, ask you to explain it when I can't even explain myself half the
Yeah, it
times,
just
like,
happens.
yeah, it just happens. Alright, so Justin, if you could spend an afternoon with any of your characters in The Glorious Dead, whom would you choose and why?
Oh, well, for entertainment value, it would be Laurie
Mm,
because he's like a big theatrical queen and very, very witty and sharp and a little bit, you know, salacious.
yeah.
But I feel like it would be my duty to spend the day with Viv because she's so sad, and so I would love to go and cheer her up because
Mm,
she really misses Laurie's kind of banter, and she says in the early chapter she has no one to be horrible with now, but like horrible in a nice way about
yeah, I
others.
get it, yeah.
So I would go. I would probably, out of sense of duty, because I have this eternal sense of duty that has plagued me throughout life. Doing the doing the right thing, not necessarily the best thing. So I would spend the afternoon with Viv, cheering her up.
Oh, that's nice. Alright, Justin, I'm gonna ask you a final set of questions.
Okay.
I feel sad getting to these parts of the conversations now, so I'm like, "Oh, we're nearly at the end."
It
Okay,
feels like we just
so
started.
I know, it does, and I look at the
It
time, I'm like, "Oh
does.
my god, time's flying." Okay, so Justin, are you an introvert or extrovert or a hybrid of the 2?
Oh God, introverts! What a bunch of liars they are. It depends on the situation.
Yeah.
I'm a confirmed code switcher, so I tell myself I don't like getting up and speaking in front of people, and then at my book launches, I always do a speech, and I always stand up higher than everyone else so that they can see me. So what does that tell you? You know. So yeah, a mixture of the two. I think everybody is
A
really.
bit of a hybrid.
No one is really the country mouse all the time.
Right, this is a new one I'm adding on to my questions. Do you write in silence or do you have something in the background? Something on in the background? Oh,
Silence,
are you a silencer?
silence, silence. Shut up, everything. Shut the world down. Get out.
Oh.
Yeah, weird. This is.
I mean, it's not
um
weird, it's your process, but I'm the opposite, but
Oh, really? What, at
yeah.
home? I can do cafes.
See, I can't do cafes, which is weird.
Ah, okay. I mean, I used that. I wrote my first two books, you know, mostly in public.
Mm,
I can do cafes. I can do when I had jobs. I can do offices with the radio on, and because I
yeah.
was a music journalist for a while, and I can do that. But at home, it has to be quiet.
Interesting. Very, very
No music
nothing.
whatsoever. Not even brown noise or anything like that, which I do when I'm reading sometimes if my partner's
Yeah.
watching TV and I want to be in the same room. But you know, no noise whatsoever. So I used to treat myself when I'd have like downtime in writing my first one, especially. I would, or if I was stuck, I would get up and put on Donna Summer Spring Affair,
Yeah.
which is 8.5 minutes long, and would whirl around the room. That would be my music fix, and then I would sit back down. But I do have music on when I'm thinking, like walking around thinking,
Yeah.
and so I do have music that influences or is inspired by the book.
Okay.
Always, I always do a playlist for the book, even though I don't listen to music when I'm writing it. That's so weird. I've just realized
That
how
is
weird that is.
weird. It's getting very weird. It's getting weirder by minute because
Oh,
I do a in a good way, I do a playlist, but the playlist I have for the book is influenced by the book. So my 3rd book the kill list because I had flashback, which I love those. I love doing it though because I had flashback scenes to like 95, 96. I basically
Mm.
was just reliving me at uni,
Yeah.
late 90s. That was it was just reviving my playlist.
Yeah, there's always a bit of that. I'm always when I'm writing scenes, I'm always thinking about what the music would be like for the characters
Yeah.
if they're
Okay.
out.
That
Like
makes
in The
sense then.
Glorious Dead, Laurie talks about that amazing hot summer where Crazy in Love was playing everywhere. 2003, what a summer. And it does take me back there. And so I use music in my books a lot, but
Mm,
I don't have it on when I'm writing them.
that is
Mm.
very interesting. Okay, so what
Oh.
challenge or experience, good or bad, in your life shaped you the most?
Oh
So I said
gosh.
good or bad.
Uh, I suppose it's being bullied at school. Ugh.
Mm,
You know, I remember a very famous actress once said about bullying that it's character building, and I really hate that she said that. Um, and I don't believe that it is, but I suppose without it, I wouldn't have any of the tools that I
yeah,
have now. Um, so maybe that, but also my experience. Yeah, my grandmothers were very influential on me as well. I'm very like both of them, and one of them was an introvert and one of them was an extrovert.
so you're in the
So
middle.
make of that what
You
you
got
will.
them.
Yeah, I'm very like both of them. So yeah, it was probably. Oh, that's a horrible answer.
I
Oh, I
know
hate
it's a
that answer, but
fine
it's true. But it's
answer.
true.
No, but it's true. And you know what? I think maybe another way of looking at saying it's character building is to say it gave you navigation skills. I think that's probably a better way
Yeah.
of putting it,
The
of
only other
saying
one I
it.
could think of would be coming out as gay.
Yeah.
I came out quite late when I was 24, 25,
Oh,
and
way.
that completely changed me as a person. Yeah.
How do you
Mm.
without going too personal with you, but you know when you're at uni and you are, you're away from you're doing whatever, but you still
Mm.
hide, you still said you changed your accent and
Yeah.
you're also hiding your sexuality, you haven't come out as
Mhm.
gay. It's like, how do you navigate those uni and your early 20s are weird as enough as it is.
Yeah, it was difficult actually.
Yeah.
It was very difficult, and I don't know how I got through it. But going to university itself was such an amazing formative experience for me that I'm actually glad the two experiences are separate.
Mm,
If you know what I mean. I
yeah, I
think
do.
coming out late has enabled me to look at life in a completely different way than if I'd come out at 16. I think it's amazing that people can come out at 12, 13 now. I love that.
Yeah.
But coming out late for me was obviously it was just meant to happen that way.
Do you think
But
it,
yeah, it
it
was
al-
very, very difficult. Yeah.
do you think it allowed you to like know yourself in a different, well, get to know yourself in a different way without having the noise of it all? Do you think?
Yes. I like to think that it's like Madonna, just to reach up there, in that she didn't get famous till she was about 26. So she lived as a
Was she
normal person.
26?
Yeah, her first hit was like when she was 26. She was quite old
I,
by today's standards.
you know what? I think it's because you just grew up. Well, you just grew up with Madonna, so I don't. It never occurred to me that she was already well late 20s. You would say when she
Yeah,
came
I
out.
think well maybe like 25. I think her first proper hit was like late 83, 84. So yeah, she would have been 26.
Yeah, I was 7.
And she lived as a normal person, and I suppose I consider my up to 25 being that person. So I lived as that person, and now I live as this person.
Okay.
You go through different phases in your life, don't you, where you
Yeah,
are
you do.
just different people completely, and you're different people with other people as well. So yeah.
Well, that brings me nicely on to the next question. If you could go
Oh,
back
cool.
to when you were 25 years old and give yourself one piece of advice, what would it be?
um, the real advice I would give myself is quite rude, but so we'll like clean it up. Uh,
I bet I
I
have an
would,
idea of what you would have told yourself at
yeah. So
25.
instead we'll say, um, start writing it all down.
Mm, that's a good
Mhm.
one. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Okay, so what is I call it your non-writing tip for writers? I would say it could be
Um,
touch grass. Just
yes. Um, try to be uh,
Mm,
try to be right. I don't like starting advice with don't, because it's like,
Mm,
that's not advice, that's telling you what not to do. However, my advice would be, looking back is interesting for a short while. Only take brief holidays to the past. Don't live there.
yes.
So, be inspired by your past. I mean, and I mean, don't mean that in writing. I mean in living.
Hmm.
But don't get lost in the past, because it is over.
Yeah, I think that is very good advice. And finally, Justin, where can listeners of the conversation find you online?
I am everywhere. I am everywhere as the guy liner, which was my anonymous persona. I'm still that. So I'm on Blue Sky. I have a Substack, which
I
is
follow you on
great.
Substack now. Do you know
Oh wow, do you? Oh no,
Yeah.
no, I'm really
No, but I wanted to ask you, how do you I like Substack. I don't know.
okay.
I said I find it freeing in a very strange sense. I didn't expect it to be. I don't know if that's the
Yeah.
same for you.
Mm. I mean, I was a blogger for
Yeah.
years, so yeah, it's just a continuation for me. I'm only on it because it was my replaced my newsletter, because the other platforms kind of shut down. As
Mm,
they do as time goes on. That's the only trouble with tech, is that it just disappears.
yeah.
But I enjoy it. I enjoy that direct contact with my audience. I enjoy seeing that I have an audience. It's an audience. It's a tangible audience that exists. I know it's there, rather than when you put a book out and you don't know what's happening. Um, so yeah, I do love it, and I get to write about what I want, and it's allowed me to not have to think about pitching editors. I don't do as much journalism now, because I
Right.
feel like my voice is best on Substack, on
Yeah.
a platform that I control. Some might say
That's
that's dangerous, but I mean, I love it, and thank you
yeah.
very much for following me on
You're
Substack.
welcome.
I'm mortified.
Yeah.
I don't know
I'd be
why.
mortified.
You've
My
seen how I live.
Well, everyone knows what I think now because I'm always like, "I'm not gonna have a rant," and I'm like, "No, I just need to get it off my chest." But once I've got it off my chest and let it just float out there and do
Yeah,
what it
it's
needs
good.
to do.
It's a good outlet, I think, and just good for your creativity.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, well, that was my last question, so it just leaves me to say, Justin
Oh,
Myers,
I'm
thank
gutted.
you. I know, me too. I was gonna say thank you so much, though, for being part of the conversation.
Thank you. I've enjoyed every second. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for watching the conversation. Don't forget to like this video and subscribe so you never miss a conversation. And if you'd like to catch up on more conversations, you'll find them linked on your screen now. And you can also listen to the podcast on your favourite platform. See you there. Bye.